What's up? Okay, so we are live. Now I need to figure out how to get this shared in my Discord. I'm a total noob at this, so, let's figure it out. Okay, going live right now at everyone. God, that's going to piss people off. But that's okay. Send now. Bada beam, bada boom. We have 4 whole people and a like. That's crazy. What's up, X-Lizard Maniac? I am Speed. Yeah, you are. You are the first person to comment on here. That's crazy. So, basically, anyone with any questions about Yu-Gi-Oh? Oh, wow. Yeah, I totally renovated everything, so I'm excited for that. Anyone with any questions about Yu-Gi-Oh? Collecting, investing, speculating, stocks. I don't know. This is not financial advice, What's up, Nemanja? What's up, Yu-Gi-Oh, Carl? Yeah. So this is basically going to be a Q&A, talking a little. I don't know. I have nothing planned. I just figured, let's get this going. What's up, Harley? What's up, Derek Crosby? Okay. So yeah, pop any questions you have, and then we can get going. What does Pot of Greed do? God, this one is so old. Like, this is like the default Yu-Gi-Oh question everyone asks. Would like talking about the rise of GBI Secrets Pop. Okay, so that's an interesting one. I actually have not been looking at the pop for that whatsoever. I've mostly been looking at the rise in MRD pop, which has been very interesting, as well as the rise in MRL available supply, which is mind-blowing to me, because maybe this is just me being biased and maybe not seeing enough, but the pop report for MRD has been going up super fast, but they're not going up on eBay that much. Whereas the pop for MRL has been going up fast as well, but all of those are being pushed on eBay. And I don't know why. Is it that people are grading MRD only for themselves? Or is MRL even more plentiful? Or I don't get it. Is it worth it to buy Lost Art EN 019 Dark Magician Girl? To speculate on, I'm not convinced, but I do love the card because I just thought it was super cool. So I bought 6 around release and sent them in for grading. So I'm hoping for a PSA 10. I love the card. It's like a gorgeous card, beautiful collector's piece, but it's not like I think, oh, I'm going to speculate on this. I'm going to buy it for how much is it now? 70, 60, 50? I don't know. However much, and then it'll be 2,000 soon. I don't know about that. But I do like the card a lot. I don't know about the PSA 10s. I think we're going to see a lot of them come back from PSA, and then the price might dip down. And then we will get a point where that supply runs out, because one thing we're pretty sure of is that Lost Art Promotion Dark Magician Girl at least was a pretty small release and not a lot of stores got it. With that being said, it's still mass produced and everyone has kept them in and everyone has subbed them. So it has the modern problem, but I do like the card. It's a really cool collector card in my opinion. What if I tell you 2.5 negates? Is that a what is it? Is that a Triff reference? I think at one point he started making fun of Dragon Link or something like that, saying oh, they make 2.5 negates to try and say pen best deck, something like that. Did you buy YGG token? No. Now that crypto is at all-time highs again and the Yu-Gi-Oh market is weaker relative to February 2021, do you still believe in a one-to-one correlation? Also, thoughts on CryptoPunks. So one thing, I never said there's a one-to-one correlation. I said that there's clearly some correlation between collectibles and crypto, but I never ever said one-to-one. And anyone saying one-to-one is out of their minds. I think that, like I said, told you, there's people who buy cards that they normally couldn't afford with crypto, whether it's because they want to show off their wealth or it's because they want to hide their wealth. I don't know, but it is happening and there is correlation. And we saw this, by the way, because when crypto pushed up again, we saw Yu-Gi-Oh! And Collectibles also pushing up again. So make of that what you will, but it's definitely not one-to-one. Thoughts on CryptoPunks? It's one of the OG NFTs. So if the NFT market matures and becomes interesting, the odds of CryptoPunks doing well, along with like some of the other OGs like Rocks, Ethereum Rocks, Basie, and so forth. Like there's some interesting stuff going on, but all of that relies on the fact that NFTs as a market end up maturing and doing well, and that is like a bigger question mark to me. It's also possible that that is like the, again, blue chip, but watch out, of speculative investments or whatever you want to call it. So it's very possible that like the floor on all the NFTs drops while the CryptoPunks do better. But again, it's very tough for me to say. I am not that versed into that market, so I find it very hard to make actual predictions. Do you think OG Unlimited cards that say Magic will go up in price? I think right now everything will go down in price, and I think Unlim will act worse than all the others. But I do think the cards that say Magic have more legs than the ones that don't. Next up, I hope the new Blue Eyes supports and the new tints will make Blue Eyes competitive. I would love that because I really like Blue Eyes. I have a Blue Eyes core to actually play with, but I doubt it. Like last time, the tin cards were just dog shit, like unplayable garbage, but we'll see. Hi, Solom. What's your take on the recent video on market manipulation for WADA and the Heritage auction? Kind of a double take. So on the one hand, I was already quite aware of like manipulation going on in graded video games because I talked to I watch Reserved Investments videos, and he was also on the channel a while ago. I also follow it kind of. But on the other hand, the video is made by someone that's as far as I'm aware, passionate gamer and not so much a game collector. So, you know, I watched it. I found it entertaining. I do think there's some sketchy stuff going on, but I also don't believe that this person is entirely unbiased. So, you know, you could make like a similar video about Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and obviously it wouldn't be as bad as the WADA stuff because clearly there's some sketch stuff going on, but you could definitely like paint this doom and gloom picture that isn't as correct as what reality is actually, you know, has going on. But with that being said, like video games not having pop reports is just ridiculous. At least here with PSA and so forth. I have some cool cards, by the way, we can talk about later. With PSA and so forth, we have pop reports, and that is like the cornerstone of that market. That transparency is what it's at, where it's at. I'll watch this live in the post broadcast. Okay, see ya. Thoughts on the Pokemon Saves the World party? I do not know what Pokemon Saves the World party is. The Megatins promo needs to be improved, and yeah, I agree with blah blah. At least make Blue Eyes or Dark Magician competitive. Again, I would like it. I like Blue Eyes, but I don't see it happening. Do you think that will cause another huge pump for cards? What will be a pump for cards? I'm not sure what you mean. Hello, Preneur. What's up, Jonah? I've been buying Ultimate Heroes even if they're damaged. I'm just trying to complete a set of the Ultimate Hero cards. I've already finished my Ghost Rare set. That's cool. Like if you're just collecting it because you like the cards, go ahead, you know. I mean, I'm collecting some weaker grades as well. I don't have them here right now, but like I just get them authenticated. For example, I have this Beaver Warrior with a tick stamp sample on the back. I bought it from Strictly Sealed, and I love that card. Actually, one of my favorite cards, weirdly enough. It's beat up as hell. It would be a PSA 2, but I'm going to get it authenticated just so I have it in the slab, and I'm going to love that card. And it's not a stonks play, it's just really cool. WADA and Heritage didn't do anything wrong. Jobs is a commie like Frosted. Okay, so I see you, Vintage Values. You're Dark Tomato. I get it. It's funny. I won't ban this, you know, account of yours if you can just not spam. So, you know, just let's talk. Let's have a good time. You can say something once in a while, as long as it doesn't get too harsh. Otherwise, I'll have to get some type of moderator, you know. But all in good fun. Like this stream is just going to be a chill one. Overall, I'm pretty positive on Yu-Gi-Oh and so forth. So let's just enjoy this. Gibranaviani, what do you think about foreign old first cards like value, and what do you think about investing in those cards? So The problem with foreign is that, first of all, your market is way more niche, way more. Like, there's just less Spanish collectors than American collectors. With that being said, like, Latin America, is Latin America more into Spanish cards? You would have to tell me. If you're from Latin America, do you prefer English or Spanish? I can learn a little from that. But maybe French or German is a better example. But overall, there's just less people into the foreign cards than into the English cards. So you have a smaller niche already within a niche. And then also, we don't actually know the supply that well of all the foreign cards. Let me give an example. Korean cards like LOB or Magic Ruler, they're still being produced. Like, those boxes are $20 or $30, and they will be that forever. There's a few exceptions. I think Pharaoh Servant in Korean was quit or something like that. I don't know. Some boxes are no longer in production, but overall, you can still pick up those boxes. So if you're like speculating on Korean LOB, I'm sorry to tell you, it will probably forever be its weight in cardboard. With that being said, maybe like French Canadian LOB is a completely different topic because, well, those pops are like tiny. So, you can't just say foreign. Like, the specific language actually matters because the rarity will completely shift. But regardless, in general, I think English American is going to be the winner. I think English European will be second place, even though, again, tier below, it's not the same. I think Australian is also interesting. But when you get into different languages, it's just a different game. But again, if it's just Japanese, that's a real separate niche. Like, maybe I should reword and say like US and Japanese, and then tier below you get into the European, maybe the Australian. Tier below you get into the other languages. But that's just my take. Let's say, can you do a room tour? This webcam is built into my iMac, so sadly I can't. But I've done a little room tour before of the upstairs. You would be shocked about some things about his room. Do you think the Pokemon Saves World Party will cause another huge pump? It's a Pokemon investor party in October, hosted by Dumb Money and featuring Aoki and Gary King Pokemon. I don't think a party by itself is enough for a pump. I do think there could be like interesting content being made from that. Like, you had the crypto thing in Miami a while back, and that created a lot of hype, a lot of interesting stories. Connections were made, which can then lead to interesting things. But I don't think one Pokemon party is enough of a catalyst. Solemn is low-key a beaver warrior. Sure. Top 3 languages for collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards. English, Japanese, English again. I know. I have an Evil Hero Inferna Ulti Rare First Ed with a misprint on the stars. Could you help me figure out the price? And it looks pretty minty. Honestly, no idea. Like, that's like one specific card. You would just have to go to eBay, TCG Player, Card Market, and so forth. Ubu Solemn Yu-Gi-Oh is live. I'm so wet. What's up? Do you have a social media where I could send you a pic? I simply just don't have time to be looking into like specific cards and so forth. Like, sorry, I get too many people asking for that, and I just don't reply anymore. Like, I even put it as a little highlight on my Instagram. And if someone asks like, what's this card word? I just can't. It's too much. What do you think about NFTs? I think NFTs are cool. I've experimented with minting them. But I haven't traded them or anything like that because it's just not worth the time right now. But I wanted to know how they work, how those markets function. But I'm not a big brain when it comes to NFTs. I think their utility case is far more interesting than their collectible case. So when you start getting into like smart contracts and the potential for titles like home ownership and car ownership being tied into NFTs and so forth, that is really interesting technology. And I think there's going to be massive companies built on that. But the collectible part is, I don't know, it's not my world. I just minted them to know, like, to taste what's going on there. LOBA gang, yeah, I mean, LOB Australian, as far as I'm aware, at least is relatively rare. It's not super rare. Like, I think LOBE is more rare than LOBA, but maybe I'm wrong. But at least, it's not like Portuguese, where Portuguese, you can just keep on finding LOB forever. What is the writing on the wall? Oh, I did that so long ago. It's just crazy philosophical stuff. It's very outdated and BS. You can just ignore it. I have a Euro English TP1 mech chaser. Not sure how I feel about it long term. Does TP1 Euro even have the E denomination? I don't actually know because I don't own any TP. Well, I do own a TP card. I own a Toon Table of Contents. But beyond that, I don't own TP cards. So I don't know. Do they have the E denomination? I think Mech Chaser TP1 is just that big of a card that it should be a fine card long term. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What is your favorite misprint? That's hard. God, I don't want to be the person to go like, oh, Jinzo Jar, because everyone says Jinzo Jar. And to be honest, like, while Jinzo Jar is like the holy grail of misprints, it's not that obvious. Like, you actually have to like grab the jar and do like this in order to see it. So I don't know. Maybe it's the Rainbow Dragon. Is it Rainbow Dragon together with Elemental Hero something Neos, Chaos Neos? I don't know. I'm not a big misprint collector, so it's hard to say. Do you think some of the recent market weakness is possibly caused by illiquidity due to no August PWCC auction? No. I don't think the PWCC stuff is that big of a deal. I think short term, sure, it might be some noise, but like recent market weakness more so has something to do with collectibles as a whole going out of the euphoria into just the people that actually care, which is a good thing. Like, it had to happen. And I've been talking about this happening for a long ass time. Like, ever since maybe January. I don't know. You can look it up on the videos, but like, that was going to happen regardless. And that's fine. We're now going to see a slight waning of demand, an increase of supply. Some prices will be down. And that's where I will be buying actually more than before. Do you still use Card Market to buy? Yes, I still like Card Market. But that's just because I'm European, you know. If I have to buy a single from TCG Player, let's say some Ultimate First Edition, whatever the hell, I then have to pay like import and higher shipping, and a lot of sellers don't even sell from US to EU. So just the fact that I have a big EU platform to buy on is good. But if I wish I were in the US basically, because you guys have it so much better when it comes to buying stuff. W Slasher, what's up? Sup, Maxime? Is there a speculative market for Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Yes, there is, but it's waning now because the euphoria is gone. So people are actually going for the more liked cards right now, rather than before where people were just like, oh, let's speculate on literally anything. What do you think about the Sacred Beast Ultimate Rare and the current value of them? They're extremely expensive right now. I forgot exact prices, but I think a PSA 10 of those is currently like 5 figures. So they are like, what do you want me to say? You want me to say that it'll go to 50K? I don't know, but they are very, very expensive. And I really like the cards. But we'll see if their popularity is high enough to actually keep such prices. What exactly is an NFT? It's a non-fungible token. So it's basically, to put it into very simple words, there is proof that you own a certain thing. And that proof is embedded into a blockchain. And that just means that there's a bunch of computers who are all saying, yeah, Wordy Will owns this little piece of imagery or a title. And that's the interesting part, like proof of ownership of a contract and stuff like that. Kevin Lee's CCV gang. Oh, yeah, that's true. God, I wish I had my CCV with me right now. Are sealed product with chase cards like Ghosts from the Past going to age better than King's Court? I think the problem with Ghosts from the Past as a sealed product is that it is semi-mappable in the sense that on average it's 1 per case. And like some people have said, oh, you can actually pull more or you can pull less. Sure. But that means that if you open until you pull 1 ghost, you can mostly quit and start selling the others. And so I think loose boxes of Ghosts from the Past will forever have this thing where, it's probably kind of mapped. Like the odds of a ghost are even worse. But on the other hand, I don't know. I think ghost rares are more interesting than whatever you can pull from King's Court. So it's very hard to pinpoint. They both have things going for them. But though, King's Court is King's Court mappable? Like, can you map whether you pull I haven't actually looked into that. So if King's Court is mappable, I think Ghosts from the Past will do better. And if it's not mappable, I think they both have their pros and cons. Thoughts on UBP1 Exodia set long term? I think it's probably the second best Exodia set you can have, but LOB's king. Where is the best place to buy the old packs? There is no real best place. I would say it's just eBay, maybe PWCC, but the market price is what it is. I feel like if you ask this question, it's more like, oh, there might be some secret place where I can get them 70% off, and like that's just not happening. Like eBay is the place to be. Instagram, if you have connections. Arresti TPE does exist. Oh, I have never seen those. You should send me some pictures of TPE. I have literally never seen them. Let's see. SKE Blue Eyes White Dragon first set. Is that a good long-term hold? I'm not that like into just saying, oh, hold this, sell this, hold this. Overall, I'm not very into SKE. But I don't know, if you like the card, you like the card. What's your favorite God card? Honestly, I've been thinking about this, and I have a very tough time. It's going between Slifer and Obelisk right now, and I really don't know who would win. Do you want a duel? I mean, how? Dueling book? Overall, dueling... modern Yu-Gi-Oh isn't my thing that much. I do have decks, and I will play if I have friends who want to play. But usually I play GOAT if I actually want to have fun. Because overall, modern Yu-Gi-Oh, you really have to go like, okay, I'm gonna play this jank deck, and you have to play another jank deck, because otherwise we literally aren't even playing. Or alternatively, I am a try-hard competitive player and I win YCSs, and you also have to be a try-hard competitive player winning YCSs. And now we can have this super big brain match where every little thing counts. That can also be very interesting. But my issue is with modern Yu-Gi-Oh, the sphere between that doesn't exist. Either you are try-harding competitively, or you are having fun with jank. And when there's an imbalance, when you're like, I'm gonna spam Dragon Link bullshit and you're playing tunes, the game is unplayable. So yeah, that's my thoughts. But I do enjoy whatever, but I don't know, I don't duel very often. Hey man, thanks for all the content in the last year. It's been great listening and learning. I just want to ask, did you ever finally get your PSA 10 Feral Imp? I sadly did not. Grading fees right now are so high, and I'm like, am I really gonna hunt down this random common and then pay $200 to grade it? No. So alas, I currently don't have it, but I do hope to one day own it. The thing with LOBA is that there was never a unlimited printing. Huh. So is their print run actually larger because of that? Would be awesome if Konami could make an NFT collection. So I'm pretty fearful of too many companies trying to cash in on NFTs on the craze, like, oh, just buy a bunch of JPEGs and here's, ridiculous high gas fees to buy them. I'm not into that. But if there's a way to make it matter, like I feel like Gary V, for example, does some very interesting NFT work where the ownership of the thing also ties to services and experiences. And that is very interesting. But again, it's super young. It's so, the market is so immature right now. What do you mean by it's a bunch of trash, the writing on the wall? Maybe you're trying to say that to hide some knowledge from us. I promise you, the knowledge you get from my walls isn't worth very much. Ouch, I have so much Asian English Yu-Gi-Oh! Rip collection. No, some of these cards are interesting and you can still sell them for high prices. It's just that they have been going down somewhat. Thoughts on reverse secret prints and their received premiums? I'm not very into reverse secrets. I know there is a premium, and I think on some cards it may stay, but on others it's not justified. I think the recent market weakness is caused by Jobs' video. I don't think so. I think it's just the fact that stuff is starting to open up. PSA backlog is returning. And so it's just like a waning of demand and an increase in supply hitting each other, just like we've been talking about. And that's totally fine. And I think that's transitory, as Jay Powell would said. Lol at the title. I forgot what title I put. I hope it's funny. Okay. Sacred Beast ultis are oddly down really bad. They were selling for 12k PSA 10 during peak for Hamon and Raviel, 20k Uriah. But I don't know how much they are now. So are they down? Random Yu-Gi-Oh dude, how often do you buy graded cards? Any new purchases? So I've slowed down my purchasing overall because I haven't been seeing that many deals. And I've spoken about this before on the channel where everyone is saying, oh, this massive pop report is coming back and we're going to see so many cards. And then I go on eBay and I don't find so many cards. Like the supply isn't as big as I had feared. The thing is, I currently still have a sub from last August that still has to come back from PSA. So I'm still waiting. I'm just patient. But if I see something, like recently there was this card I really wanted. The guy asked 800. I thought that was too high. I wanted to pay 400. Now he decreased his price to 650, and I'm patient. And once that hits 400, gotcha. We'll see. Okay, now Rouse of Rav and Hamon are 400, Uriah 500. Yeah, that's where they were at before, though. So I think it's only the PSA 10s that get the premium. Hello, Solemn. Will you do daily uploads again? I love watching your videos on break at work. Thank you so much. So basically, daily uploads I could no longer do because I'm too busy with my company. Like, as you can see, these beautiful instruments and so forth. Actually, you can't see my insane desk, but whatever. Like, I'm just too busy with Solemn Tones right now. Very big developments, going to be traveling for that as well. So I had to slow down because I have so much work. If you check out my Vanguard channel, Solemn Vanguard, the uploads there have also been super quiet and people are asking why. It's just literally too much business. But I'm hoping to upload more again. And that's also why I'm doing this live stream right now, where I can pump out like a lot of questions and answers and content, let's say, and then not have to edit and then just get back to work. So I hope this is kind of somewhat making up for that, but I know it's not the same. Why have you been slacking on uploads? Yeah, well, I told you. Yugipreneur, what modern set are you most high on? Modern to the Moon. The coming tin. Like, I've been seeing people saying Zeus is getting the reprint, but I also saw people talking about Access Code and Triple Tactics. I don't actually know what's confirmed now and what isn't, but the tins is what I'm most looking forward to. I really want to spice up some decks. CCV Gang, always. What do you think PSA open bulk subs again? No idea. That's honestly impossible to say. Have you ever seen a Ghost Rare Spanish Rainbow Dragon where I can check the price? Have I? I don't think so. Thoughts on FMR Harpy Sped Dragon? I think a lot of people hyped that during Euphoria, and I'm not sure why, but I do like the card. I believe LOBA is more abundant, but I'm not particularly sure. Okay, yo. Is GBI over DOD for Ra? Huh. I think DOD is lower pop, but I don't know if that's because it was subbed less. I think GBI wins because you can have the full set, but I'm not sure. If you're looking for NFTs that have a use case, look up Gala Games. They're creating blockchain games where you can own your in-game items. So yeah, I know that is like the biggest utility case right now is games. I think that's a really interesting space, but I think there's also going to be a lot of projects that are purely made to be like, hey, look, we have an NFT game, and not here's a good game that just so happens to have NFTs. Do you have an editor for your videos? Yes, it's me. So no, I don't. Love this channel. TBA, I used to think you were Simo. Yeah, when I only did Vanguard videos and no Yu-Gi-Oh videos, we often had that joke where people said I was Simo. Have you noticed any uptick in graded Vanguard? No, because there are no graded Vanguard cards. Like, there's some BGS cards. I saw a lot of people grading the Phantom Blaster dragons that are numbered, but overall, grading Vanguard is barely a thing. I think that market will actually start existing in the future, but I think it's impossible right now because grading is so expensive. Like, no one is going to grade their $20 Lozenge Megas from BTO1 in SP for $200. Like, that makes no sense. So I think if the subs open up again for BGS and maybe PSA even, that's when we will probably see some Vanguard cards being graded. Relinquished or Buster Blader? Relinquished every day. I'm a simp for Pegasus. Actually, you can see my childhood relinquished right here. So yeah, relinquished all day. Let's see. The reason I asked about UBP1 is because PSA Pop Report is less than 10 for PSA 10s on each of them. I just don't know if the market will care about prices on them. I think they're quite rare. but I think LOB will keep winning. Regardless, it's really cool to have UBP. Like, they are cool. In one of previous videos, you stated, asked that NMs are disappearing. Operating with this mentality, would it be safe to assume that sealed boxes across the board goes up, especially if grading rises? No, not necessarily, because it's possible that you had such speculative power on boxes that they first need to come down before that increase in demand can actually catch up to that. So while it's perfectly possible that when all of this plays out gradually, that boxes should be high, it's possible that so many people are assuming that they'll be high that they're already overpaying for that assumption. To compare it to like stocks, it's very possible that Tesla will be an amazing company. And at the same time, it's very possible that its current stock price is too high. You can overpay for high expectations. And even though something is really good, you might have still overpaid. I'm not saying they are, by the way. I never did any fundamental analysis on Tesla or anything like that, but it's just an example. Zeus confirmed. Yeah, so I know Zeus is confirmed, but I don't know about anything else, whether it's confirmed. I've just been seeing people say Triple Tactics is coming or Access Code or anything like that. Thoughts on other grading services popping up besides the big three? I've spoken about this before on the channel. I think there's a lot of danger in all of these random grading companies that not many people care about. Ace Grading, yeah, I know Randolph does the promotion. I hope it works out for him because he seems like a sweet guy. But there's still a lot of risk. A lot of these grading companies wouldn't even exist if PSA and BGS were still open at their lowest rates. Are you not collecting as often? Yeah, I'm still collecting. I'm just waiting for like a massive pop of myself to come back to see what kind of grades I get. Because like, let's take, for example, my Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. I currently have a Blue Eyes Toon at PSA. I would really like to have a PSA 10 of that. But I'm not going to buy a PSA 10 of a Blue Eyes Toon right now if I could get a second copy coming back from PSA any day. So for that reason, I'm buying less because a lot of the cards that I want are currently just chilling at PSA. And if I already get a 10, I don't want to have to go through the trouble of buying one and then having to sell one and so forth. Are you invested in crypto? If yes, which ones do you own? I'm currently not invested in crypto. I at one point owned XRP, sold at fat profits. I owned Ethereum by accident because I was like playing with NFTs and trying to figure out how they work. And then I also sold those at like the previous top. I want to say around 4K. But I'm not trading crypto. I'm not actively invested in crypto or anything like that. Usually it was like a little bit of money by accident and stuff like that. Is $500 for Zeus Lightplay worth? No. What? Are you talking about the Starlight Rare? Because I assume you're talking about the Starlight Rare, and I would never pay for a Lightplay modern card. Most modern cards are mint, so buy the mint one if you really want to go for those like high-end moderns, because again, they're not actually rare, so at least you can go for the little bit of condition rarity they might have, unless you want to put it in your deck, in which case maybe the light play can get you a discount, but I don't think 500 is a discount. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I should really check. I love your content. Just want to drop in and say hello. About to throw some pork on the smoker. Have an awesome day. Oh, thank you so much, and enjoy the pork. Is DoD Ra typically faded? Not that I know of. Didn't you say those screw cases damage the cards? Why you have it on relinquished? Oh, yeah. So they do damage the cards. And this one is damaging this relinquished right now. But this is my childhood copy that already practically went through a blender. Like, you can't see it right now, but this thing is already so beat up that I don't care about the screw case damaging it more. It's like, yeah, it's destroyed anyway. Let me just look at this. It looks cool in here. It's never getting graded. It's an unlim... Yeah, an unlim beat up relinquished. It'll be fine. Let's see. Do you think the LOB first case on Golden could break the $1 million mark? I'm not sure. No, because the game is gonna die. I don't know what game you're talking about. MetaZoo fan? Not really. Not into the art. I hope it works out for the people behind the company and so forth. Smash that like button. Yes, a rare mood gets it. Do you think OG Lost Art Dark Magician Girl will grow despite reprints? I'm wondering how much of the hype is already priced in, but if anything grows, it'll probably be her, because she at least got the different printing. So you know the EN19 is the original. That's also why I'm actually perfectly happy on maybe even sitting on multiples of her if I get multiple PSA 10s, because she'll forever be the original. I think Konami did it very well, actually, by having that border change and that number change. But still, it's always riskier with modern. Can you please do a video on grading cards on PSA from Europe? I mean, I've already made videos on grading cards for PSA. The only thing I haven't shown is how to go through the site itself, but that's like mostly figures itself out. CGC cases are the best looking cases, but the label is gross. Yeah, not a big fan of CGC labels. The cases, I don't know. I do think they're like very good for photography, but apparently they're easy to crack. But I haven't tried it myself. That's just what I read. Is 3,700 for a PSA 10 SDK worth it? I assume it's not a first edition. If there's a first edition PSA 10 SDK, American print, for 3,700, I would buy it right after this stream, and I think everyone else would as well. So I don't think that's the case. I'm assuming it's an unlim, and if it's an unlim, I personally wouldn't. What is a wavy PSA 10 Red Eyes worth right now? I don't know. I see people discussing this all the time. I want to say 20k, but who knows? 500 for a Starlight Nearman Zeus is too much. I think so too. But people are paying crazy prices, in my opinion, for Starlight. I'm taking a fat wilderness outside poo right now. I'm very happy for you. Solom, when are you going to join in the crypto pump and dump train? Easy way to get that PSA 10 Toon Blue Eyes. No, I'm not interested in pump and dumps. I could also just make more running an actual business. Like, whenever people see crypto as their way out, I'm like, why? If you have an interesting skill, you will make way more with just running a business or trying to make your income higher, and there's many ways to do that, than trying to turn 200 into 2000. Like, unless you're playing with a lot of fucking money that like goes well beyond what you could make from just a really good job and so forth. Like, there's people, maybe I'm not making my point well. There are people spending 30 hours a week finding the next good coin to put their $200 in, hoping to become a millionaire, when they could put that time into making their skill set better, getting a better job, and actually having like a sustainable, better career. And it's like blowing on my mind. XRP, I'm glad you know about this crypto because they're aiming to replace the SWIFT international payment system, and they're already partnered with major banks. I'm aware. But right now, the coins are just in volatile la la land, and it's not for me. YuGiOh Solemn, didn't know you were streaming. Would have come in to watch earlier. Oh. Let me take a sip. Our first set supers in classic sets that aren't in Yu-Gi-Oh's popular culture / demand. Worth it compared to secrets for a higher price. That is so vague. So if it's a super rare from, let's say, Ancient Sanctuary that no one gives a damn about, I would be very careful. But when you say secrets, I know what secret you're talking about. Like, there's a difference between Jinzo and the End of Anubis. On Twitter, you mentioned you just sold one of your all-time favorite cards. Any hints you can give what card this is? Yes. I sold, well, this Dark Magician Girl. And I'm very sad about it because honestly, this is like the most heartbreak I've ever felt with a card. It's being shipped out tomorrow. I was supposed to ship it yesterday, but then DHL Express was closed on Saturdays. But so this beautiful baby is going away, sadly. Honestly, like that broke my heart, but it's the only rational way. Like, I set myself very specific rules, like this amount of percentage you're allowed to own in cards. There's a speculative market, be smart about it, blah, blah. It came back, my percentage went over, and I was like, okay, guess we have to sell some cards to get it back down. It is what it is. But yeah, I hate to see it go. It was this or the Stein, and I just left it up to the market to decide. I just put both up, so like both the Stein and the Dark Magician Girl, and depending on which one sold, the other one got pulled. So what Dark Magician Girl is that? It's an MFC first edition PSA 10. So yeah, heartbreak. Let's see. Solemn, do you know a good place to get a first Ed Guardian Eidos? I do not. Is a PSA 10 Unlimited SDK Blue Eyes a good investment? I would stay away from SDK and SDY Unlim. They're hard to grade, so PSA 10, would be the safer bet. But God, like those decks were in print for a century. They're like the Unlim Charizards, like the base set Unlim Charizards. Dark Magician Girl, best card after Blue Eyes for investment? I don't know. I would say so for set cards, yes. What do you think of the Japanese Dark Magician Girl promo card that you can get inside the Yu-Gi-Oh! Nintendo game? They're not rare, but they're really cool. I would like a copy. BGS is growing a lot on me for the subs and label. You ever try to cross-grade into other companies? I have not tried to go out of PSA or BGS, if that's what you're asking. Do you think Konami will one day implement official retro format tournaments? No, because they already have so much trouble with Rush Duel and Speed Duel that I just don't think they can. Like, they are trying their damnest best to try and get Speed Duel out there or Rush Duel, whichever one. They're not going to try to get GOAT format to be a thing. Let's see. When people ask why Pokemon modern products consistently show higher prices MSRP than Yu-Gi-Oh, I think for Pokemon, people open up their product for enjoyment and nostalgia a lot, while Yu-Gi-Oh nearly not as much. I'm not sure. I think Pokemon just had like more mainstream hype this past year, but it also had like a far harsher crash. So I think Pokemon got like way more than hype, so everything moved up. But then more of those people also left because it was just a hype, while Yu-Gi-Oh saw way more actual collectors who like Yu-Gi-Oh and don't just like money. But again, that's like a general statement, right? Like there's still big collectors in both, and Pokemon's market cap overall is still way bigger. Any thoughts on how the Mega Tin will shake up price for modern cards in general? It depends on what's in it. It really depends on what's in it. Like, if it's just Zeus and like they miss all of the best stuff from Rise of the Duelist, that's going to be not that much of an impact. But if it reprints all of those big hitters, I do think a lot of people who were specking on singles might lose some money. And it's MFC, yes. It's MFC. When that deal was signed, because for high-value cards I make agreements, that hurt straight up. Like, I have never had such seller's remorse. But it is what it is. Do you value your TCG value input about the money you actually invested, or the money the cards would technically be worth? The money the cards would technically be worth. And that's very important. The reason why is crucial. Because if you don't, you can say, oh, I only have $2,000 in my collectibles, even though they went to like 200,000, to just give an example. Let's say you start in 2016 or whatever. And then you can act like you're rational for holding 200,000 in cards, even though the rest of your portfolio is maybe 5,000 in stocks. Like, no, you had almost life-changing money. And if Euphoria actually crashes down, you just lost it all because you were like trying to fudge with the numbers just to justify it in your head. Like, if you're gonna put cards in your asset allocation as an investment, you need to put in their actual liquid value and not what you put in. Because otherwise, how can you ever rebalance? Like, imagine if you invest in real estate, stocks, you also have some commodities and so forth, and you never update their price. How would you even rebalance? So it has to be the actual value, which is why you can force yourself to sell stuff and be very, very sad about it. And just so you know, I'm not trying to sell you on this crypto. I just want you guys to look into it because it's one of the... Yeah, but you're also trying to sell people on it still, though. But I get it. I have been looking into all of that. What are the best undervalued Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card investments right now, in your opinion? I'm not going there. It's way too pump and dump. I can say this and then people might buy it and then it'll go up and I can say, look how smart I was. That's just like crypto Twitter 101 that I'm not interested in getting into. Hello to my favorite financial advisor. Yes. Theoretically, if one were to have a first at Cyber Dragon ulti, a Cyber End Dragon ulti, would a true real Yugi tuber accept that as trade for assessing a collection for viable PSA subs asking for a degenerate? I mean, I would, but you understand that you're like getting an awful deal for that, right? Like you'd be losing a Cyber End Dragon ulti, and I'd lose just a little bit of time. So like I would, as a selfish ass, but also understand that you are getting an awful deal there. Like just saying, feel free to hit me up, but like that's not very smart on your end, because first of all, you're the one holding the card, so you always have a better view on it than me. And I already like uploaded videos teaching people how to do it, so you could technically watch those videos and just learn from them. But again, gladly, but you're getting like an awful deal. Is there much value in Red Eyes outside of LOB? No, I think BPT is like a really solid card. Like BPT Red Eyes, in my opinion, is a very interesting card. And SDJ is like weird because they were way more printed than SDK and so forth, and it's also like the same art. But BPT Red Eyes is really interesting to me. Needle Fiber, hey bro, missed you. Do you think the upcoming 20th anniversary for LOB will draw influencers to pump up the Yu-Gi-Oh market? I don't think so. Recently, PewDiePie actually opened some Yu-Gi-Oh, which was cool to see, but that was not a pump thing. That was just a cool experience. Did he sell MFC DMG? Yup, sadly. When you buy on eBay, do you need to pay import costs? I'm from Belgium as well and never bought on eBay. Yes, you have to pay import cost, especially because eBay already has this program now where you're instantly charged the import rather than later on. So yeah, you just have to pay it, which is also why I buy less on eBay. I try to find raws myself and then grade them myself. Or it has to be like super underpriced, because not only do I have to make back the import, I then also need to it needs to grow beyond that, let's say. So I really need to want to card personally, or it needs to be like ridiculously undervalued, or it needs to come from Europe. Because if you buy from Europe, then you don't have import from like outside of Europe, obviously. What do you think about investing in Dark Crisis? I recently bought a PSA 10 first edition Exodia Necros because I love the card, and the duel with Kaiba and his dad was pretty memorable. Dark Crisis has a few really cool cards, and I think Exodia Necros is part of that. So it's a cool card in my opinion. I have a Wavy Blue Eyes BGS 9.5, lowest subgrade possible, and was wondering if I should crack it and send it to PSA. I think a weak 9.5 will still sell for higher than a PSA 9. I don't think you'll be getting a 10. But hey, maybe you get lucky. Lol, okay, I'm just trying to spread the word. It wasn't meant in a bad way or anything like that. Again, I already spoke about XRP on here, but it's very dangerous when you talk about a cryptocurrency and say like, oh, it's the future and it's a big opportunity. Like there's always going to be people aping in just because you said it, even though this channel isn't very big and so forth. So I try to stay relatively cautious. Vampire Lord is my favorite card. Thoughts about it? I like Vampire Lord. I'm a big zombie fan, actually. My plan was to eventually have a zombie collection and an insect collection, because those two types, especially for Classic and GX, I really like. But I didn't get to it yet. I first have like really weird other collection goals to get to. What do you think about graded SYE and SKE main cards? I think that the BLS is interesting because that's the only place to get like the original BLS, let's say. But SKE Blue Eyes is less interesting because it's just, another Blue Eyes, and there's so many that are way better. How much of your net worth should a responsible person put on Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Okay, so if you're a responsible person, you shouldn't put any of your net worth on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like that's you don't go to a bank or some finance institute and ask like, hey, I want to be financially responsible. How much of my money should I absolutely put into cards? Like they're going to say 0. So it's more so that if you're going to speculate on cards, which is fun, and I like to do it. I hope that's very clear from this channel. I'm personally of the opinion that it has to be less than 25% because it's very easy to go overboard. And even 25 is like ridiculously high. If you're being actually rational, it should probably be less than 10%. But for many people, that means owning one card. So it depends, it's a personal thing. I really enjoy it. There's just some cards, like we've got a Monster Reborn here. Wow. We've got a Dark Arnt here. Ah, what a beautiful card. But so yeah, I just enjoy this stuff. But rationally speaking, zero. But if you don't want to destroy yourself potentially, I think less than 25 is good. And if you don't want to lie to yourself, I think less than 10 is good. How much you sell the DMG for, mate? I don't know if the buyer is like fine with me saying, so I won't say, but I will ask them if I'm allowed to say. How do you feel about the new Dark Magician art, OG Bandai art? Oh yeah, I wanted to make a video about this and then I got busy with business, so I couldn't do it. I like it. I like it a lot. So for people who don't know, you can have like this. I think it was you have a box, and then your box stopper might be a Dark Magician with the art from Bandai, but then like reworked. I really like it. I don't know about like speculating on it because it's not particularly rare, it seems, but it's a real cool card. What are your thoughts on fractional shares of cards? I don't like it. The reason collectibles are cool is because you can hold them in your hand. I can go, I really like Dragon Master Knight, and I'm holding it in my hand right now. And as a collector, I'm happy to hold it in my hand. I can put it in a case. I can put it up on my speaker. I can look at this. This is my card. If you buy fractional shares of it, you're only speculating on its value, but collectibles are more than that. So personally, not a fan. Thoughts on any future growth for the OCG products? OCG is such a big term that I can't really like talk about that because, first of all, I'm not very good when it comes to OCG. I don't know much about it. But more importantly, it's like saying thoughts on any future growth for TCG products. There's 20 years of TCG products. And in my opinion, some will do well, and a lot of them will do awful. And so you can't really say growth for OCG because it could be anything. I notice this a lot in Pokemon YouTubers, and it pisses me off when they go like, oh yeah, the whole market is crashing, but Japanese is still doing well. Bitch, what in Japanese? Japanese Pokemon cards have been going for 25 years. So if you say Japanese has been doing well, tell me which ones, because you're not saying anything when saying Japanese has been doing well. And it's mostly just trying to tell people like, no, the market is fine. Look at this other thing. Like, I don't like that. So yeah, I can't comment on like OCG as a whole. I would have to talk about like specific cards. And when we get into specific cards of like OCG, I would just suck because I don't know enough about it. Love the Asian English first set cards. They are low value now, but do you think they'll increase in value down the line? So if you look at Asian English, their price trends, they have already increased like an incredible amount. So like the graph is like this, and then you're here and you're saying, oh, do you think they'll increase? So far they haven't, or like are low value, but like they already come from all the way down here. So could they go higher? Maybe, but I'm not betting on it personally. CT2 DMG falling in price a lot recently. Why do you think this is? I don't know if she has. I could see it. I think she wasn't graded a lot before the big rises. I feel like she's the second or third or fourth TCG Dark Magician girl in terms of rankings. And so it's like, do you buy a PSA 10 CT2 or do you buy a PSA 9 MFC? I know the answer. So maybe that's why. But overall, I like the card. I have one being graded right now. So like, just to be clear, if I were to have a Dark Magician Girl collection, and I kind of ruined that, it would have to have the Lost Art, it would have to have the CT2, it would have to have the MFC, and then obviously if you go into OCG, there's some other ones. But those three, like, those I really like. But again, MFC is king or queen. Any thoughts on the future value of collectors rare Chaos Emperor Dragon from Toon Chaos? I think there's some interesting collectors rares, but I don't think Chaos Emperor is one of them. And the reason that I don't think Chaos Emperor is one of them is because you can always get the IOC. So why would you go for this modern fancy print thing when you can get the original? So like, I'm not against collector's rares as a whole. There's some cards like, let's say you're a Toon collector. You need to have Toon Harpy Lady. You need to have Toon Page Flip and so forth. So those collector's rares might be interesting. But like Chaos Emperor, why don't you go for the IOC? But I might be wrong, you know. Maybe there's someone who loves Chaos Emperor Dragon so much that they want to have the collector's rare and the ulti and the IOC. Maybe? I don't know. Vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm all in. Okay, enjoy. No one can match your collection anyway. So 10 to 15 is ideal if you have big wealth and steady cash flow IMO. I guess. I'm not sure. It's such a personal thing. Mateo1245, what watch are you wearing? Oh, yeah, we can talk about that if you want. I'm not a big watch guy. Like, I have a few watches, but I'm more of a casual collector there. So this is an Orient Star. I don't think it'll focus well. Yeah, so it's a mechanical watch. It's like this. It's like the highest end that Orient has, but Orient is not a high-end brand. I think Orient is owned by Seiko, but it's like their low tier type of thing. But Orient Star is like the highest tier of that low tier, to call it that way. I bought it used, and I'm pretty confident that if I resell it, I can get more for it or the same. So that's why I bought used. I'm like, this is a cool watch. It's a mechanical watch. It's like very thick on my wrist, which I really like. So yeah, but it's not a very big deal or anything like that. If the reason collectibles are cool because you can hold them in your hand, how do you explain punks, bored apes, and rocks? I don't think they are. I do think they're collectibles, but the thing is that those were always meant to be NFTs. They were never meant to hold in your hands, but cards are different. For the 20th anniversary, they might bring the 20th secret rares from Japan. They are basically starlights with red letters. They might. I have no idea. I pulled an alt art Rayquaza VMAX. Would you sell for 250? I have no idea. I don't know the modern Pokemon prices, but I would be selling right now because right now there's still hype on that set, I think. I would say the types of collectibles that are cool are things you can tangibly have displayed versus just owning a number of shares of item that you'll never physically see. Yeah, I agree. And again, NFTs are different in that regard, but it's very possible that we'll get. No, they actually aren't, because you still display them. If you buy a CryptoPunk, you're probably showing it off on your crypto Twitter, or you're putting it on your Instagram. So you're still showing it off. A fractional share of a Blue Eyes, you're not really showing it off. Maybe you will get there one day, but I don't know. General thoughts on GX era graded cards? I like GX. I think GX cover ultis will win the most. I think right now they are in a similar state as the gold stars were for Pokemon right after base set crashed, and that adds a lot of risk to them, in my opinion. But overall, I do like them a lot. But I also realize that they are far less known than the originals. So, like, to me, long term, if there's a long term for this market, something like a Monster Reborn or something like a Dark Magician Girl will never be matched by an Elemental Hero or a Cyber End Dragon. Even though I love those cards, purely because, like I have talked about before, like CEO Bobby just doesn't know them. Blue Eyes is Blue Eyes, and the originals will keep winning for that reason, in my opinion. Even though, again, I love Cyber and Dragon, I love Zane and so forth. Any pet peeves with the Yu-Gi-Oh community or collectibles community in general? Could be anything. Pet peeves with Yu-Gi-Oh community. I think Yu-Gi-Oh community has more extremely loud, toxic people. And again, any community will have loud, toxic people, but I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh has more of them. And again, that's like a loud minority, but I notice them so much more in Yu-Gi-Oh, it kind of sometimes pisses me off. But overall, I just love Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love Yu-Gi-Oh enough to be here. So yeah, I don't know. None of the pet peeves are important enough for me to give up the love for this franchise. What's your opinion on dealing with card addiction and how to make sure the urge doesn't go out of control? again, setting up that artificial line. For me, it's 25%, and I'm not going over it. So even though I got back this beautiful card that I absolutely didn't want to sell, my rule is my rule. End of story. And that sucks. But I think 5 to 10 years from now, I'll be happy I had that rule. So yeah, it is what it is. I was age 10 to 11 when GX released. Cool. Would you say the same thing about Collector Rare BLS? Yes, I would say the same about Collector Rare BLS. Flame Wingman TLM versus Cyber Dragon. That's hard because they both have something going against them. Flame Wingman had that whole upper deck thing, so there's a lot of those ulti silver stamps. But Cyber Dragon is a super. So I think Cyber Dragon will win. But it's tough because ultra ultis are more rare. What are your thoughts on RDS Dark Magician Girl? That's the limited edition thing, right? I think she's not rare enough. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think she's rare enough. Can you be my financial advisor? No. I know you're a big fan of Zane. Have you picked up a Ultimate Rare Cyber Dragon? Yes, I have. Yes, one. I was thinking if it's one or two, but I have one. But it's probably getting a bad grade. I already know that. The corners were a bit chipped. It might be a 7 or something like that, but that's fine. I just really wanted to have the card. I want to start buying sealed. Should I start with modern or somewhat older sets at the moment? Why are you buying it? Are you buying it to play? Then modern. If you are buying it to collect, then in my opinion, old. But maybe you really like the look of a certain modern set. Really good example. The new Kuribo set. Is it Battles of Brothers of Legend? Battles of Legend Brother. I don't remember the name. But this really cute box with a different colored Kuribos on it. That box is adorable. And I want to buy that display purely to keep sealed because none of the cards in that set interest me whatsoever. But those little Kuribos on the box are just gorgeous. So cute. So yeah, I mean, it just depends on your reason for buying. Let's see. Why do you have marker traces on your wall? Yeah, I just used to write on them as a schizophrenic. I don't know. Like I was just writing on them. What is your thoughts on singles of super rares in Naruto? No idea. I know nothing about Naruto. Thoughts on Metazoo? Don't really care for it. I don't like the art, but it is what it is. Speaking of things you can actually have touch, binders over graded cases. Thoughts? Investments notwithstanding. I can touch graded cases. I can touch my Dark Arm Dragon right now. So I don't like binders that much. I have binders because they're easy to store cards to play with. They're easier to trade with. But when it comes to like enjoying cards myself, cases win for me. Thoughts on Lost Art Exodia? Well, now that we know that the reprints would have different borders, assuming at least, I think it got better. But it's still like a modern mass-produced card. So, and it also went up a lot, right? During Euphoria, like how high were those? I forgot how high they were. Might not be bad to own a set, especially in PSA 10 because the Lost Arts get scratched easily. Do you think the new Lost Art Burstinatrix and Gemini Elf will do well or not OG waifu enough to justify waifu premiums? So I saw the Burstinatrix. I also wanted to make a video about it. Sadly, didn't get to it. It's tough. I think they're like too produced. But if they're scratched up enough, the PSA 10s might be interesting. I really like that Burstinatrix, though. Getting the OCG art, like the original non-censored art, I think, and this is probably a very controversial one, I think the Burstinatrix will do better than the Gemini Elf. And my reason is that people who like Gemini Elf are mostly like OG collectors. And we're talking about people like Gezi, like Vintage YuGiOh. They're more with that OG. And so if you want a Gemini Elf, you're automatically going to go to that original. And that original is already high rarity and so forth. Whereas Burstinatrix, if you are a fan of Elemental Heroes, you have nothing. You have the Mattel, you have the secret rare thing, which is another printing, and you have nothing. So like there is no real alternative to this Burstinatrix quite as much as with Gemini Elf. So I think Burstinatrix is actually the most interesting card out of those two. Brothers of Legend is the name. Yeah, that's the one. Why is there a ridiculous market in NFA between RDS DMG mint raw copies and the PSA graded slabs in 9 and 10? Because people can't be arsed to send them in. But I agree. That's why, like right now, I can buy raws of the RDS so easily. And yet these 9s and 10s are selling for so much. It's kind of weird. I don't know how that'll play out. Dark Magician Girl is still Dark Magician Girl, though. Love your content. Glad to see more European Yugi tubers. Thank you so much. Trying to find a price for TP8 Magical Arm Shield. Any advice? Go to Card Market, go to eBay, go to TCG Player, graph out like the different prices, grab an average of that. Thoughts on Dragon Ball card game right now? No thoughts. I've never played it. Before the whole card boom, DBS was on a downward trend. Like less and less people were playing it because of how was it Bandai that like messed up a bunch of shit. But I'm not into it enough to really say hard things. So if that trend comes back, like you go back to the mean, I think DBS as a card game will do worse and worse and worse. But I don't know if like enough about it, so I don't want to say harsh statements when I don't know. Thoughts on the Dark Magician Girl Lost Art reprint? The reprint? I would stay far, far away because the original exists and the original itself isn't that rare either. So you might as well go for that original. Thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, one of the last collectible eras? So the problem is that I was out at Zexal. Like I played with OG, like most people got into at OG. I played competitively during GX with Phantom Darkness, with Dark Arm Dragon. I played Synchro Era with Goyo Guardian, Stardust, and so forth. And then I just got out for a little while. So I missed like the XCs and the pendulums and so forth. And I got back in around Lynx, around the time Summon Sorceress came out. So for me, Zexal is very hard to value because of that. Because when you show me Zexal cards, I feel nothing. It's like, oh yeah, all those memories that don't exist. So it's tough to say. For me, at least, 5Ds is where the originals end. And I would even dare to say that GX is the cutoff, even though I like 5Ds and a lot of cards in it. But I don't know. There's some interesting cards, though. Like I recently bought Tour Guide, which I really like. But that's end of Synchro, right? She was never meant to be an Xyz card. Oh, well. I only need his arms. Huh? Thoughts on the future value of Ghost Rares? Depends on the card. Not all Ghost Rares are created equal. If I had to bet on Synchro Wing thing from Ghost from the Past or on Rainbow Dragon, those are very, very different conversations. Thoughts on Dark Magician Girl Rush Duel promo? I've spoken about this before. I like the card, but there's a bunch of them out there. So, do you think every card worth over $100 will be a higher price 5 years from now? Absolutely not. Just no. No. Would you be down for full art Yu-Gi-Oh! Like other card games have done? So, I've spoken about this before, and I constantly flip-flop on it. Because, on the one hand, I really like that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has stuck to its guns. You see this card from afar, and you know this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. Everyone knows this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. You can go into a local game store, see people playing, and from 20 meters, you can see, oh, they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you recognize what this looks like. Every other card game is starting to go into full art, this special rarity, this super flashy, this and that. And so you walk into a game store, and from 20 meters, you don't know if someone is playing Pokemon, Magic, Vanguard, Buddy Fight, Wise 5 years from now, because everything is full art and max bling. So if Yu-Gi-Oh! Sticks to its guns, they will be the most recognizable card game. When only talking about the front, obviously. Obviously, the backs, everyone... Well, this is not a real back, but everyone knows the backs of all the 3 big card games. So I think there's a strong marketing aspect about keeping the original frame intact. But also, I'm a big fan of the anime look of like the full art top. So I don't know. I would like to see full arts on one hand, but I also really respect that they didn't go into that full art craze yet. So I don't know. Thoughts on raw versus graded collecting? I personally like putting together binary collections. That's fair. Like collect how you want. I really prefer graded by far, but do what you want. I do both, by the way, but I prefer graded. Um, I got 1,500 vintage first edition common cards. Is it better to sell as a whole or per card? If they are LOB and they're minty, you would do better with selling like separately. But if it's like Ancient Sanctuary and some GX, you might be better pawning it off to like a vendor. But then again, a vendor is going to give you bulk, and a lot of these first edition commons aren't bulk anymore. The answer might be to sell the very wanted ones separately, regardless. It's a tough one, really, really tough. It really depends on what's in there, because vintage first edition common, there's a lot of cards that fit that umbrella and will have vastly different values. What's your favorite card from MRD and also in general? In general, I can't really answer because I will keep flip flopping. You ask me about my favorite card, and one day it'll be Blue Eyes, the next it'll be Crush Card, then it'll be Cyber End, then it'll be Blue Eyes Toon. But it will be relatively consistently one of those, or Dark Arm maybe. For MRD though, Time Wizard or Change of Heart, one of the two. And I will probably flip flop on those as well. But Time Wizard and Change of Heart are probably my favorite MRD cards. Dark Arm Dragon Gold Edition, is it any good? I think the Gold series was very hated for many years, very specifically. So I don't know if a lot of people like Dark Arm Dragon Gold Edition, especially because the secret is still relatively cheap. And people already have the other alternative in the Turbo Pack Ulti as well. So it's like, I don't even think the gold is like the third best option even. So it's, I don't know. I wouldn't spec on that personally. I think once more less expensive price tries at PSA open up, we will see the slab value of DMG RDS get crushed by the lower available raw copies, or the reverse will happen, raw copies increase. Yes, I agree, probably. Top 5 favorite dragons in Yu-Gi-Oh! Blue Eyes, Dark Arm Dragon, Blue Eyes Toon, Dragon Master Knight. Is that 5? I don't know. How do you find the price on a card that rarely sells, like a Cyber Harpy Lady RP01? I look at the available price, and then if there's holes in that price history, I will start depending on comparable cards in that. So, for example, other secrets of that set and so forth. But it's hard. It's hard for sure. Do you think 5D's ultis are undervalued compared to GX? It depends on which one, but I don't think so, because I think in 5Ds you could generally go for ghosts on like the best cards. And I also think GX ultis are just more iconic. There might be some, but as an overall, I don't think so. How much would you say a card should cost to make it worth grading? Well, right now, not many cards are worth grading. Like, I sent in an express sub through PSA a few weeks ago, 5 cards. I got slaughtered. Basically, every card got 1 grade lower than I thought they would. And one was like, I thought it was a 10 and came back a 6, so I probably missed a dent, but we'll see about that. But I'll do the PSA return when I get them in my hands. But essentially, a card needs to be super, 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 super expensive. Because if you pay 200 express and it comes back an 8 when you thought it was a 9, or a 9 when you thought it was a 10, you lost. So, like, assuming we go back to previous prices of $20 and so forth, I think your card should probably be worth at least $100. But there are some outliers. Some cards are so hard to grade. For example, let's say Injection Fairy Lily a year and a half ago. The 10 premium was so high it was still maybe worth it, even though the card itself was not that expensive raw. Let's see. Thoughts on misprints? I'm not very into misprints. Some people are. Hard to spec on because the market is so niche. Injection Fairy Lily first ed with good centering. Do you think it's worth it to grade it? If the rest is worth it, like if the rest is good, yeah, absolutely. But if it's beat up and you're getting like a PSA 6, probably not. Thoughts on 99 Bandai? I opened some on the channel a while ago. They're pretty cool. They have that very old school look. But I don't know about like specking on them because I don't know how rare they are. Do you think vintage cards can only go up in value in the long term? Are you a vintage values alt? I don't think they can go only up. It's very possible that demand fades. That's also why I think the market is risky and speculative and always will be. But that's a risk you're willing to take or you're not. Do you think Yu-Gi-Oh will win over inflation? Some cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, yes. Others, no. Again, you can't really talk in general there. Vintage is definitely safer, but just like any other investment, there is risk. And I do want to say, I use the word invest for Yu-Gi-Oh because it's a very SAO-friendly word. So SAO, search engine optimization. If you make a video titled, should you speculate on Yu-Gi-Oh? It will be found less than if you say, should you invest in Yu-Gi-Oh? But technically, nothing you buy in Yu-Gi-Oh is an investment because they don't produce cash flow. So it's more of a speculation. And so when I say invest, it's literally just because it's more clickable. I should be saying speculate on, but then YouTube will punish me for it. Favorite rarities, mine are Ulti and Ghost. Mine are Secret, Ulti, and Ghost. I actually really like Secrets. Did you get Ultimate Tour Guides or Secrets? Secrets. I really like Secrets. Do you think the grading price will go down in the future and why it's so high right now? We spoke about this before. It's so high right now because they got way too much people grading. So they like got rid of the lower tiers. But I do think they'll open lower tiers sometime in the future. I just don't know when. Do you think WADA and Heritage should sue Carl Jobs for defamation? No. If what he said in the video is true, it's not defamation, but we'll see about that. There are no PWC live auctions for Yu-Gi-Oh cards in September. What is going on? I have no idea. Do you separate your actual collection against cards you buy with the intention to sell in the future? Yes. I'm aware in my head of what I buy and what I buy to keep and what I buy to sell. But even that is like a gray area because opinions change. To make an example, there are cards that you buy and that you really, really like and that you don't intend to sell. And maybe a year later, you're like, I'm kind of sick of it. I had this with, for example, which one did I have that with? I forgot which one, but like basically you can have that. You can buy a card, you can like it, you can get sick of it. And you can maybe buy a card of which you thought, oh, I remember it was a Dark Magician of Chaos. And you can also buy a card where you're like, I'm never selling. I'm gonna sell this. I buy this card, and in the future I will sell it because it's an investment. And then you're like, I really, really like this card, and then you keep it. So it's not this like black and white thing. But I like to at least note down the difference so that I don't start lying to myself. Favorite lesser known, less popular vintage card. Mine is Dark Sage. Oh, that's tough. A lesser known vintage card. I don't think I can say like a favorite because I'll probably forget another one that I like even more. I always really liked Mirror Wall. I really liked My Valentine as a kid. I don't know why. Maybe for some reason, if you know what I mean. But I really like Mirror Wall because the effect it had in the anime was broken. I thought like, wow, if I have this card, I can never be stopped. So I like Mirror Wall, and no one really gives a damn about the card. So that would probably be one. D-Mock was a card you liked and sold. Yeah, absolutely. Vintage Yu-Gi-Oh remembered before I did. But yeah, Demog, basically I bought it like, oh, this card is so cool. And after a while I was like, actually, whatever, and got rid of it again. So it happens. Yeah. Man, Monster Reborn is a pretty good example of the opposite. I really wanted to have the big 5, but I at first wanted the big 5 because I thought, hey, these are super undervalued. And then I bought this one from Gezi, and I held it in my hand the first time and was like, wow, I'm never selling this thing. Like, so like you can get a newfound appreciation for a card. And like when Gezi sold it to me, I was like, now I'm not getting rid of it. Like, it's not happening. I really want to keep this Monster Reborn forever. So it went from, I guess the second I bought it from Gezi, I was no longer intending to sell. But as a whole, I started caring more about Monster Reborn the longer I held it. So that, it's a flux. It's a bit of both. If you could pick any combination of card plus rarity, what would you have? Oh, I see what you're asking. A ghost rare cyber end dragon. That would be really cool. Yu-Gi-Oh! The least investable of the big 3 card games, at least when speaking about Modern, since Rudy never talks about it. When it comes to Modern, yes. Because Modern is very, very shillable, if you think about it. Like, you can have a channel in Pokemon like Twice Baked Jake, and I'm not saying he's a shill or anything like that. Like, he makes solid, accessible content, and he seems to be a sweet guy. But he could say, this card should moon, and it will moon, because it's so accessible. And then Rudy, same thing. Rudy can say, oh, this new booster box should be mooning, and boom, it moons. With Modern, that is way easier to do, and it's harder in Yu-Gi-Oh! To do. Because you can't go to as many stores to buy Yu-Gi-Oh! So for that reason, I agree. For Modern, they're less speculatable. Is that even a word? But that has more to do with like the manipulation that you can do rather than with anything inherent about the games. But again, like, I don't really care about Modern, weird pump and dump bullshit. Like, I try to stay away from that. I just really like certain cards, and they happen to be old. And those happened to have gone up. Is it possible to get a 10 even if there is a tiny scratch in the back? Yes and no. Like, you can, but it's harder. So do you try to keep your total allocation to Yu-Gi-Oh! Speculation at a certain percentage and sell off cards if it gets too high? Yes. Again, that's why I sold the DMG. Heartbreak. I really wish I was able to liquidate a bunch of smaller cards instead, but it just takes so much time. And again, I was running my business, so I was like, am I really going to spend like 2 full weeks of finding buyers for all these little cards, or am I going to do this one deal? And I chose the one deal, but it's pretty sad. I was already looking at the 9s to like buy back a 9, so I at least had a DMG again, because those are like pretty cheap right now. But I don't know. I didn't see any easy peasy deals. I feel like no one talks about the border size change in Yu-Gi-Oh! And the effect it has on the card's value. I don't think the border size change in Yu-Gi-Oh! Affects the card value. Like, the new cards have the new border and the old cards don't. Isn't that all to it? Like, Modern's still gonna be Modern and Vintage is still gonna be Vintage. Think Konami will ever bring back ultis? I mean, Konami still has ultis. You can have those OTS packs with ultis in them, but will they ever bring back like the original ones? I don't think so. Rudy shills MetaZoo hard. Does he? I think he promoted it, but I don't think he was saying MetaZoo to the moon nearly as much as he was saying Fab to the moon. Not that he said those specific words or anything like that. Overall, I like Rudy, but you have to know that when you watch the channel, like, there are certain incentives. Which would you miss more, DMG or Stein, assuming you haven't sold one yet? I've already sold one. Yes. I actually think I'll miss the DMG more than the Stein. But maybe I'm saying that because I'm already feeling that seller's remorse. um, how do you feel about sealed Unlim? Recently just bought SDK, SDY Unlim, and to me, I'm just happy to have them, but obviously would like to see them keep going up. I think SDK and SDY Unlim are very, very plentiful. So even sealed, like they're still plentiful. So it's a risk. But I say that owning an SDK Unlim, and I really like looking at it because it's like the most pure. Here's something that looks like a toy store or a local game store from back then. I don't know. It makes me happy to look at it. Wow, am I all caught up? Do you get a chance to play much Yu-Gi-Oh? Sadly, no. I've spoken about this before. When it comes to card games, I play Cardfight Vanguard way more. But I do play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I have my decks. I have a Gotek, I have Cybers, I have a Zombie, like Link spam kind of shit. I have Toons. I mean, they suck. I have Phantom Knights. That's more of like a dark spam deck. When do you think PSA will reopen bulk economy? No idea. Do you think they'll keep the prices at 2050? No. I don't see them reopening 20 ever. Because there's just too many people who are aware of grading now. I just spoke with PSA and they have no plans to go back to economy. You have not spoken with PSA and they would never say that they have plans and just tell you while not telling anyone else. So let's not lie here. How was your summer? Filled with work, which I like. Investing in Vanguard, and is there an online type video game to play Vanguard that you know of? I'm not saying investing, just playing, but I do own some old cards of Vanguard. And yeah, you have Card Fight Area. Yes, I called them. I'm not lying. I mean, it's possible that you called them, and if you ask, "Are you opening economy?" they'll say, "No, we're currently not opening economy." But they're not going to tell you we're never opening economy again, because that's the type of shit you say in a press release. They're not going to say that to a random customer. Do you think sealed Ghosts from the Past first edition cases will age well for a sealed investment? I think the sealed case is actually interesting. I think the sealed box is riskier, but even then, it's a speculation, of course. On a different note, any tips getting started as a DJ? I don't know. I'm not a DJ. I think it's like with any music career. You need to have a lot of funds and you need to try to hack the marketing side of it. Like if you're just putting your music on Spotify and trying to get some local gigs, you will just forever be a local DJ Timmy, let's say, with like less than 1,000 plays. Because music by itself often isn't so good that it gets spread by itself. Like you need to do little tricks and hacks to gradually get known. And you can either pay for that with paid advertising, or like PR agencies and so forth. Or there's just tricks, like back in 2014 or so, or maybe 15, 16, you could do follow for follow spamming on Instagram. And obviously, like that's a shit technique to do, but it worked. And so there's always some little thing like that. Like right now, TikTok is the way to go. So if you are a musician and you're trying to get out there, you always need to know where is the attention. And I think right now it's TikTok. So if you're a DJ, get really good at TikTok. Would you like a reboot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monster and would you watch it? No. I think the original, with all its quirks and cringe, is exactly as it should be. Tell us about your business. My business creates software instruments for rock and metal musicians and producers and studios. So to give an example, we would sample an instrument like one of these, play all of the possible notes, play all of the possible articulations, build a piece of software around that so that then those bands, musicians, producers, and so forth can write with that instrument in the studio without actually physically having it. So we have metal bands that tour the world who will, in their tour bus, be on their laptop and be able to produce super professional demos and so forth and send that to their producer and have it sound ready to show them, like, oh, there's this crazy idea with our software. So that's what we do. What do you think of A's grading? I don't know, like, it has Randolph, but all of the third-party grading services have the inherent risk of just this hype fueling them, but not having that authority of many years of experience and having that big name. How much room for growth do you see Zexel Arc V having? Impossible to say. I'm just not as convinced that there's enough people whose minds as kids were affected by those eras. Thoughts on Drake versus Kanye? I have no idea. Are there any modern cards that you picked up lately? Starlight, Black Rose, Stardust. No, actually no. The last modern cards I got were... Was it the Lost Art Dark Magician Girl? Or what? No, Zeus. Just the Phantom Rage stuff for Torn Scales, like Phantom Knight's Torn Scales and Zeus. But those are not for collecting. Those were for playing. What program do you use to edit your videos? I use Final Cut Pro. Is iMovie good enough? I mean, it's good enough to get videos out there, but it's not a professional editor by any stretch of the imagination. Sell or hold vintage LOB first edition cards, graded or raw? Like, I don't know. What are you trying to do? Why did you buy them? Do you like to collect them? Are you just trying to flip and dip? I don't know. Like, this collectibles to me are not just this stock market where you buy and, oh, now I sell and, oh, now I buy and, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, you should be willing to sell and buy. You should have targets and be aware of risk and feel like, oh, okay, I need to change my allocation right now because it's getting too much and so forth. Like, you need to be rational about it. But if you're just gonna play in the space as if it's like this shit coin, like as if it's Dogecoin, then I don't think you're in it for the right reasons, and you probably won't care enough about them to actually hold them through down periods. So, like, it's just not the type of question that I'm into. If you like collectibles, you like them, and then you can still play in that space and be rational. But just this quick sell or hold, like, it's not really my style. I do like new placement for a few years already of the first edition tag compared to the old one. I prefer the old one because I'm a boomer and that's what I grew up on, but they can do whatever they want. What are raw copies of LOB First Ed Blue Eyes worth? I own a glossy and a wavy. I honestly don't know. It depends heavily on condition, obviously. Like, if they're minty, a lot. If they're damaged, so it depends basically on what you think their graded counterpart would be. Thoughts on Gxp Dual Box? I wanted to make a video about it. I'm excited for it. The last Speed Dual Box was a great way to have access to some really cool prints of really cool cards. I'm hoping this will be similar. I think Vintage Values is here, Solemn. Yeah, he is. Dark Tomato is Vintage Values. I'm not banning as long as he doesn't, go overboard. If he just, talks a little bit, whatever. What official product had the coolest promos? What do you mean by that? I'm not sure what you mean, basically. Thoughts on all the new random grading companies? I already made a video about them. What's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh season from the original series? Ooh. Huh. That's hard. Probably the OG. Probably just the Pegasus Castle arc, whatever it's called. And then second would be Battle City. For GX, it's much easier. GX is just the first season and the last. V-Dubs, not playing, just found some childhood cards. I mean, if you like them, you keep them. And if you don't like them, you sell them. If you don't collect, sell them. Duh. What are your thoughts on the current Yu-Gi-Oh collecting community? Was it better before the boom? I was not nearly as enfranchised in it before the boom. Like, I didn't know Gezi and Vintage Yu-Gi-Oh and so forth. Like, I hadn't spoken to them before the boom. Like, I had just bought a few things and I was sitting on them because I liked them, but I wasn't talking to them. And so it's hard to talk about the community when you weren't actively part of the community. I'm sure like the OGs will forever say, "Oh, it was better before," but like I don't know. I currently like it as long as we can keep it healthy. How was 5Ds able to cement itself as viable collectibles when most of us never really watched the show? It wasn't. But the ghosts were so goddamn hard to pull that they had this artificial scarcity. And then you combine that with the fact that they were so scratched up that the PSA 10s of them were so hard to get. And then they were like kind of old enough that they slipped in. But for that reason, most 5Ds cards aren't worth shit in comparison to the originals. So like you make a good point. That's also why I said when I talk about original, I usually talk about dual monsters, maybe GX, but barely ever 5Ds. It's just that the 5Ds ghosts are such a thing on their own that they slip by. And then by proxy, the ultis as well. But again, there will be outliers here and there. Do you grade packs? I don't. I don't even. Oh no, I was gonna say I don't even own a single pack, but that's not true. I do own single packs, but not many. Nowhere near enough to get into that. Do you think Bushiroad cares about premium, or think they are moving towards a more simplified game and putting their focus there? No, they care about premium. They literally made a producer letter just now where they address like, we're going to do this for premium. 2022 is getting its own product. We're going to make some major changes, frequent ban list updates. Like, no, they care about premium. And I think Bushiroad long term is also doomed without premium, because without premium, it will forever be this like, oh, play your old cards and ditch the rest. No, play your new cards and ditch the rest. So like, no, you need premium because you need a proper eternal format where your most loyal fans can be happy and play the game. And that's also why Yu-Gi-Oh is still doing well. And also why Magic is still doing well. And Pokemon just does well because of their collector base, not their player base mostly. So for that reason, no, they care about premium and they probably will keep caring. What Yu-Gi-Oh series to you had the most exciting monster appearance other than Yugi, Kaiba, or Jaden's? I mean, Cyber Dragons and Zane. If you were a duelist in the OG series, what would your archetype and signature card be? Man, that's hard. Probably zombies. But signature card, I don't know. Because most original zombies sucked. Yeah. Like, I would probably pick a zombie from later. Like, Zombie Master was insane. What do you think about GX boxes going up recently? It makes sense when the cards inside are that expensive. Thoughts on the GX thin cards like Cyber Dragon? I like them, but I don't know how speculatable they are because there's a shit ton out there, and they weren't as beat up as the BPT, because in BPT they were loose and so they could like glide over time, but the GX ones was this separate plastic, and that plastic was just the size of the card. And it was like you have a plastic, the card, and that thing on top. So they didn't wiggle. So as far as I'm aware, they are plentiful. Solom, what's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh OST? Oh, I know this one. It's when Jaden's about to win. The yeah, I don't remember the name, but it's like, I think with Neospatians and stuff. I don't remember the name, but that's my favorite OST. Even though it's like It's not an original or anything like that, but it's just heartbreaking kind of stuff. Do you think it will remain or grow at those prices? I don't know. If you had a 2,000 card Yu-Gi-Oh card collection that you wanted to sell with commons and rares in near mint condition, I would take out any LOB, MRD, MRL, sell those separate, and everything else is just bulk for a vendor. Are you collecting any collector's rares? No. I might buy a few to like finish some side collections, but right now I'm kind of like whatever. Do you have a friend like Joey IRL? Yes, but I'm not gonna name him because he wouldn't be happy. Actually, no, he calls himself Joey Wheeler. I have a friend named Noman, and his name in our Facebook chat is actually Joey Wheeler because he always gets ridiculously lucky. But he's not stupid or anything like that. It's just that he's super lucky. Do you like dual terminal cards? They have like this weird gloss, right? It's kind of like if Sample Summon Skull was uglier. But maybe I'm wrong there. I don't know. I'm not super into dual terminal cards, but I do respect the rarity of some of them. And I also like the idea of a dual terminal. It's just that I haven't really seen anything that like blew my mind as far as the cards specifically go. Did you feel the same way about Kamula from GX as Mei from OG Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah. Masterpiece. Undervalued or overrated? I don't know its current price, but I think it's interesting because it was such a menace to the playing community. I think it could be a similar thing like the Dark Arm Dragon. So that's interesting to me at least, but hard to say because I don't know its current price. Are there any oversized Yu-Gi-Oh cards you're currently hunting? No, I'm not really into oversized cards. I do respect the hustle. I saw a European guy with the like cyber chimera tech-ish looking thing, the fusion, that I would like to have, but I'm not actively hunting it. Any thoughts on 10k Dragon? I'm not into 10k Dragon. I thought it was very, very overhyped around release. And I think the PSA 10 copies are... The PSA 10 copies are so plentiful because everyone graded them. I don't know. I think they've been going down for a pretty good reason. But maybe they'll end up going up. Maybe I'm overestimating the supply. Favorite archetype? Probably Cyber. No, Toons. Holy hell, it's really hard. I'm starting to lose my mind, so I may actually quit this stream soon. Do you play League of Legends? Greetings from Germany. I do not play League of Legends. Do you think the Japanese and Korean ultis from GX sets have or will have decent value, make them worth grading? Korean, no. Like, you can buy $20 Korean boxes right now where you pull those cards. $20. You can spend $100 and basically have all... No, not 100. $200 and have all the Korean ultis pretty easily. Different fight. Imagine not streaming on Real Solemn on Twitch. So my reason for not streaming this on Twitch is because this talk is specifically about like the Yu-Gi-Oh collecting aspect, and all of my following on Twitch is therefore Vanguard. So I figured this made sense. But hey, everyone should go follow me at Real Solemn on Twitch, and maybe we can start moving that there. I don't know though. I don't think that's going to happen. Does Joey have the potential to beat Kaiba in a duel? Probably with like the bullshit Protagaluk, but Kaiba inherently is daddy, so no. Sample Summon Skull was $20 about a year ago. Yep. Sampled Summon Skull was super cheap for super long. But I really like the card. What's your favorite secret rare from the original sets? Dark Magician Girl, Injection Fairy Lily, Blue Eyes Toon, Jinzo. I think that's it. Those would be like the big ones. How much you think the case of first ed LOB is going to go for? Ends in 13 days. No idea. That's a... It's hard to say because it's like golden auctions, so it's not eBay. You're not gonna have like the golden auctions thing. Not everyone has access to it, right? You have to like, I don't know. You have to be like a proper auction person, right? Or you have to make an account or something. I don't know. I feel like the amount of people who know about it and are into Yu-Gi-Oh will be smaller. Whoa, it's world-class collectors. You are awesome, Solom. I enjoyed listening to you talk about cards every day. Thank you so much. Did you made some PSA 1? I'm not into PSA 1s. What I am doing, however, is I am trying to grade Cyber End Dragon, PSA 1 through 10 myself. So I'm actually like actively turning that into a vlog. So I'm filming that. I'm like sending that off and so forth, and we'll see where that takes us. DMG Secret Rare First Edition from Movie Pack will boom next few years, Emo. I disagree. Movie Pack has been made and remade 20 million times. Like, and I see that card everywhere all the time. Maybe I'm like misremembering stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's like one of the most common Dark Magician girls. What are your thoughts on Yu-Gi-Oh misprints and how do you price them? It's a niche within a niche, or niche within a niche, and that makes it more dangerous. But they're cool. They're like fossils. It depends on the misprint as well. Some misprints are like heavy, cool stuff, like a card that's half and half. So like you have the bottom of one card and the top of another. That's a very different thing than, oh, this name is slightly to the side. So, you know, it depends on the misprint. I was here. What up, Donald? How can I spot an unlimited first edition LOB versus an unlim LOB from 20 Sen? Blah 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 blah. You should go on YouTube to Gezi TCG. It's GHEZZI and then TCG. He has guides on that are very, very good. I think the Sphinx's PSA 10 are going to boom over the next year. I don't think so, but I don't know if you're memeing. What's your thoughts on the new bird support? Will it be tier 2 or 1? No idea. I don't know anything like about the higher end modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Online card sellers have prices for misprints. There's a start. Yes. What do you think about Chocolate Magician Girl, Lemon Magician Girl, etc.? Speculation wise, I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I have a name shift misprint for MRL Toon Mermaid. That's cool. It depends on how shifted, you know. If it's like onto the art almost, like that's really cool. But if it's like slightly to the right, it's like, oh, okay. Can you shout out my friend Mike Hauk? Yue Peng. I don't know. All right. I think we've been going for 2 hours now and my voice is dead. So thank you so much for everyone coming to the very first stream. I will be ending it here. Be sure to have a nice day and I will see you soon. Ciao.